on YouTube. We're good to go.
Okay, great. What's up, everybody? I'm the Video Game Votary, and welcome to our new podcast, the upcoming Retro Podcast. I want to take the time to thank you guys for tuning in to our very first episode, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to meet the other co-hosts that's going to be a part of this podcast, and we will start with Mr. RectWizard.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Rect. Been YouTube creator for about a year and a half now, give or take, and I do all things modern and retro. I like to cover basically anything that I find interesting. I also collect other things too, like VHS, all things nostalgic. If you like channels like Happy Console Gamer, where I sit in front of a camera and talk to you about the things that I love, video games, then that's what I kind of do over on my channel. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell, guys. Yeah.
Alrighty. So up next, we got Mr. BlakRanger. Tell the folks about yourself, sir.
What up? What up? What's the word, Blurred? It's your boy, the Black Ranger, your favorite Blurred in the world. I've been a YouTube content creator for about, I guess, going on 3 years now. I love everything retro and nostalgic, everything Nintendo, especially Nintendo 64, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and obviously by the name, the Power Rangers too. I'm just here to have a good time and just shed some light on all things nostalgic. Get you back to those feels of when you was a kid having a good time.
All right, awesome, man. I'm Video Game Votary. I collect all things Nintendo. Been creating content about 5 years now. Um, so that's a basic intro to everybody, but let's get into a little more detail so the folks out there get to
Except
know
making
everybody.
games.
I'm so
This is
sorry.
true.
Well, if you want, we can start with the questions with you. So we're gonna start with AK Games, time for your solo, and I'm gonna shoot some questions out, and you can let the people know how to, we're gonna let them get familiar with you. So, what was your
Yeah.
introduction to gaming?
Yeah, so I started playing video games as a little girl, and the first game that I remember playing is Jack and Dexter. Love that game, and it's still one of my favorite games of all time. So,
It's a great
yeah.
game. Great game. All right, so you answered the second question, which was the first game you played. Also, I want to know what made you start to collect.
Yeah, so I mean, I've always kind of collected ever since a little girl, but I haven't started like really going hard at collecting until pretty recently, when I start making my own money. That's when I
Okay.
really just started to, go all in and really, like I said, just start with the PlayStation games. I'm starting really with PS2 and PS3, and then I'm gonna start getting all the other stuff.
That's a good start.
PlayStation, yeah.
That's a good start. So what is your favorite game? I'm gonna ask. Let me take a crack at it first. Is it Jack and Daxter?
No,
Okay.
that's my third favorite game.
Okay.
My favorite game though is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Awesome.
Great
Okay.
game.
That's actually a great game. Oh, okay. So what made you create content?
What made me create content? I think it's just my love for talking about it, and I didn't really have too many people to talk about video games at first, but that's what made me start the channel so I could just, reach an audience who all love the same thing that I do. And
Right.
it's been fulfilling. I love it and meeting new people and stuff like that. It's the best thing.
Okay. Awesome. And last question. What are your goals and ambitions for your channel?
My goals and ambitions, I would just say, you know, to reach people, like I said, who have the same love as me, and just really like just making a network of people to talk
Hmm.
about games. That's just my goal. That's what I love to do. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right, great guys. So that was your introduction to Miss AK Games and Mr. RectWizard. It's your turn, buddy.
All right.
So, first question: what was your introduction to gaming?
The very first console I ever got was for Christmas. It was a Super Nintendo, and the very first video game I ever remember playing was that same Christmas I got Super Mario All Stars. Um, so
Awesome.
yeah, that was my first introduction to gaming when I was a kid.
Okay. Next question is: What was the first game you ever played? Not sure if you answered that, but
Yeah,
the first game you ever played.
it was Super Mario, also Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I forget you're a little bit younger. Okay. That's a good introduction because you kind of got a little bit of the beginning of Mario. So that's dope. All right. Next question is, what made you start to collect?
I've always bought video games. I've always bought collectibles, just because I've always been into gaming. So I never really looked at it as being, a collector, I guess, but I guess that's what it always was. But probably my whole life, man, I've been buying, selling, trading video games and kind of building up this library that I have today is kind of my whole life, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question is, what made you start to create content?
So I started creating content. Actually, the first time I ever, I guess, did anything was on Twitch, and that was back in 2014, like shortly after like the transition from like Justin TV over to Twitch. And I
Mm-hmm.
I did that from like 2014 to like into 2015, and then it was never anything serious. It was just for fun. And then
Mm-hmm.
I stopped doing that for a long time, and then COVID hit in 2020, and I decided to give Twitch another crack. And I started streaming on Twitch in 2020. Did that for about 3 years. And then about a year and a half ago, I decided to really give this YouTube thing a go and focus on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And really, I started making content because I just wanted to play video games and talk about video games with other people that liked the same things as me. That was pretty much the big goal behind what I was doing. I never expected this to like turn into anything like a career or anything. It was really just a hobby. Um, and that's kind of where it all stemmed from, was I just wanted to hang out with like-minded people like myself, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. And last question, what are your goals and ambitions and the purpose for your channel?
So for me, I would say honestly, dude, like the biggest goal for me is to just like at the end of it all, when I'm all said and done one day, I would like to say I built a small community of awesome people. I know that's like a corny answer, but like just like-minded people that enjoyed my content and was I built like a solid good community. Um and I have smaller goals like that I would like to achieve over time. Like my first goal coming up is I would like to hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like I try to set small goals for myself and then achieve them over time. And I don't like to set huge goals just because like they sometimes seem unobtainable. So I like to set smaller ones so that way when I do achieve them, it keeps me going. So that's
Right.
kind of how I do it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome. Thank you for that. BlakRanger, on
Let's
you,
get
brother.
it.
First question. What was your introduction to gaming?
My introduction to gaming was the best, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. As
Great start.
I was like, I don't even remember how old I was, but my sisters had got it for Christmas, and of course, I was just born into that. So that was the introduction. And to go to the next question, the first game was, of course, uh, Super Mario Brothers, the three. Uh, Cartridge, Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, World Track Meet, had all
Okay.
that. Zapper, the power pad. We used to get it in. That was my first introduction to gaming and the first game I played.
Okay. So what made you start to collect?
What made me start to collect really was just the fact that it was mid COVID. I'd say close to the beginning of COVID, and I just was like, let me actually pull out all my stuff out of my tubs and stuff after I moved into the house, and noticed that I had a decent amount of stuff, and I was like, hey, like I really like this stuff. I could get more, and it was really more of the retro stuff for me. Again, NES, SNES, Sega, as much as people hate it, and 64, all that stuff. And I was like, I want to find more stuff of this. And at that time, it was easy to find stuff in the thrift or um, Goodwill, Salvation Army. So I was like, let me just grab up as much stuff that I like as I can. And that's what really got me into collecting outside of seeing people on YouTube doing it.
Okay. Last question. Goals and ambitions for your channel.
Goals and ambitions. My main goal is just to have fun. I really started doing content because I'm actually a super shy person in person. So YouTube was a way for me to just stand in front of the camera and kind of like talk and do stuff and be like, nobody's watching, because at the beginning nobody was, and at this point nobody's still watching. It's like, now I'm just kidding, but it was just a way for me to kind of break out of my shell of shyness, and my main goal is still to do that. Like, even I get out, I have fun, VGV, Rec, from us meeting in person. I like to have fun and do stuff in person, but it takes a lot for me to get out of that shell. So my main goal is just to continue breaking out of my shell and just to have something for people to look at and be like, oh, I remember that stuff. That was cool. I had a lot of fun with that. So that's my goals and ambitions.
Awesome. What's your favorite game?
My favorite game is Wii Fit. I'm just kidding.
It is. It's his favorite game. Don't let him lie to you.
My favorite game is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Awesome.
Just because it was one of the last games that my grandmother bought me.
Oh, that's sentimental.
That's awesome, man.
I forgot to ask you, Mike. What's your favorite game, buddy?
Oh man, I'm excited for this one. My favorite game of all
Kuon.
time, hands down. No, not Kuon. My wallet hates me for that one, and my wife. She put in the divorce papers right when we got back from SoCal, bro. I'm telling you. No, no. My favorite game, hands down, of all time. Nothing compares. And I know that people are gonna be like, bro, there's so many better RPGs out there, but something about this game just hit different for me. The first time I ever put in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim into my Xbox 360, November 11th, 2011, baby. When I put that thing in, I had no life to that game for so long, dude. Like, I've got thousands of hours into Skyrim. Dude, my channel used to be an Elder Scrolls channel before I just started doing retro gaming. Like, I love, like, Todd Howard is my, like, my hero, dude. Like, I just love Bethesda. So yeah, Elder Scrolls Skyrim for sure.
That's awesome. All right, so let me question myself. So my introduction to gaming was the NES. Obviously, I like to tell the story that I was born in '85, and so was Nintendo in a lot of ways. So that was my introduction to gaming. First game I played, Super Mario Brothers, the original. It made me start to collect. I think I always had like a certain attachment to gaming, and even during content creating process going in years, I kind of was questioning myself when I seen other creators and collectors. Like, am I really like a gamer or collector? But when I think back, like, I have a lot of moments, a lot of great moments in my life that revolved around gaming, especially like around the time of the N64 release, the couch co-op times. That was some of the best times ever. That was around middle school for me. So I also saw this picture someone had on Facebook. You know how you just randomly see things in your feed from like sponsored posts and stuff like that. There was this picture of like, we all get those cube storage things for our game rooms. Most of us, we've seen them. And somebody had like a TV and it had all the consoles. And I was like, I was in the process of buying my first house and I was like, I want that in my basement. So that led me to start to collect. And then, the rest is history. My favorite game, that's kind of a tough one, man. Honestly, like, it's a very tough thing. I guess it'd be cliche for me to say Mario, but I'm gonna say NFL Blitz, just for the sake of being different. Like, I just love Blitz. Y'all see that in the background. Really love Blitz and NBA Jam. What made me create content was, I guess when I started to kind of collect these consoles for for myself, I decided like, hey, maybe I would make a channel and just kind of document this whole process. And that turned into and ballooned into this whole thing where I'm like fully engulfed in creating content. And I haven't looked back since. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. Um, so my goals and ambitions for the channel is still the same from the beginning. Grow the channel, grow the community, and also I want to grow to the point of my channel that I am able to visit conventions, get invited as a guest. You know, it's not necessarily about the money, but just honestly being able to go to as many conventions as possible, building community, meeting people, just like we did at SoCal, which was awesome. So those are the goals and purpose of my channel. So um moving on, we have a question in the chat from the buddy Retro Rob, and I want to go around
Go
the panel and
Rob.
ask that. Shout out to Retro Rob.
Dude, I love his channel, first of all. Retro Rob is the man, dude. I like his stuff.
Retro Keanu Reeves Rob.
Dude, he does look like Keanu Reeves.
does
That's
look
not
like
a bad
Keanu
thing
Reeves.
because Keanu Reeves is a handsome man. So
Yes. You're a gorgeous man, Rob. All right. So we're gonna start with AK Games. What's your favorite system? Because that was actually directed to you.
Yeah. So it's a toss up between the PS2 and the PS4. I have so much nostalgia tied back to the PS2, but I love the games on the PS4. So it's really a tie for me.
Okay. I like that.
and
I
that's
like
why
that.
that's why I like her so much, because we're on the same page. Like, we understand what greatness is.
For real.
She also said N64, sir.
Oh
Well, when
man.
did I say that? I'm just saying.
French, are you doing your girl voice again? Come on, dude.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I try.
All right. BlakRanger. Everything's on you. Favorite system.
My favorite system, I'm gonna have to go with ColecoVision. So now I'm just kidding. I'm not that old. My favorite system, many know, is the Nintendo 64.
Awesome.
Just for that was really one of the first systems that I really dove into and like was good at outside of just the regular stuff. And 64 for me.
Awesome. Rec. I think we know the answer to that, but
well,
go ahead.
I'm gonna give you my top 3 then. So number 3 is the Nintendo Switch, number 2 is the Super Nintendo, and number 1 is the PlayStation 2, for sure. Like, I think those 3 consoles right there combined will give you the best gaming experience, because they have 3 of the best libraries in the history of gaming. And I would say number 4 is probably PS4, and number 5 is, believe it or not, probably the Nintendo Wii. I know that might sound crazy, but it's the best console to freaking modify, dude.
Not to me.
Dude, like, it's just such a great console. But like, if you got any of those consoles, dude, you'd be set, man, as a collector or a gamer or whatever. Like, those 5 consoles right there are some of the best in history, dude. Like, straight up.
Awesome. My favorite console is kind of based on just memories and just the fact of all nostalgia. I would say N64. Like, that time was like, preteen, teenage years, beginning to kind of figure out who you are. And you got your friends, and N64 was just like the king of couch co-op. GoldenEye, that was before Call of Duty. It was GoldenEye all day. Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing. Not to mention the 4 best wrestling games ever created was on the N64.
Facts.
So that's just not up for debate with anyone. I'm not debating that. But just going back to that time, that was some of the favorite times. You just tell your buddies, bring your controller over. Let's get it cracking. We on there for hours. So I would definitely have to say the N64. Now, piggybacking off of that question, I want to know if you could suggest a console to anyone that's never played any video games whatsoever, but they kind of want to get started in gaming, or they just want to know about it. What would you recommend? French.
Honestly, that one's kind of hard, pause. But I'd actually probably go with the Nintendo Switch just because of everything you could do. I mean, has tons of games, super fun. You can get the Nintendo expansion pack, so you got all the N64, Game Boy, Nintendo, SNES games on there to play online, and you can actually have a lot of fun with family and friends. So I'd say the Switch.
Very much so. AK Games.
Yeah, so this isn't my favorite console, but I would have to just suggest the PS5 because you can also play PS4 games on the PS5 and they have a whole roster that you could just choose from. It's just the latest technology, so I'm just going to, leave it at that. If you want to start, go there.
That's a great point. That's a great point that I think people try to overlook. I think people automatically want to shoot to retro, but we definitely got to consider the modern consoles for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
RectWizard, what do you got? What's your suggestion?
So if you were going to collect for the first time and you want to get the best bang for your buck, I'm kind of going to piggyback off of the compatibility thing that AK was talking about. I'm going to go with the original fat PS3 because you can play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games all on one console with a Blu-ray player, DVD player, and CD player. Like, honestly, like you get 3 libraries on one console and it plays your favorite movies. Like, and it's still, you can still use it online and watch Netflix on it. It's a great machine if you can find one at a decent price. They're kind of pricey, but dude, honestly, all of the games work. Now, if you can't find a backwards compatible one, not a lot of people know that. Well, there are people that still don't know this. Any model of the PS3 will play PS1 discs. Any model, even the slims.
Yes, that's true.
Some people assume like, oh, well, it's not the backwards compatible one, so it will only play PS3 games. No, it just won't play PS2 games. But if you can find the original Fat Boy PS3, like that's, I think, the way to go, because you get all 3 PlayStation libraries. And if you get a PS5, those are really the only 2 consoles you need right there, because you can play 1 through 5 on just 2 consoles.
Exactly.
You know, a little bit of retro, a little bit of modern. I think that's the way to go.
Okay. So questions on me. Man, I'm gonna agree with BlakRanger. I'm gonna go with Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna say that for multiple reasons, and even if I'm being a little biased, I really was thinking about it because I will mention that PS2 was a great time too. That era was a great time. Like, it definitely took gaming to the next level. It was an insanely not just huge library, but a really, really good library on top of that. But the Nintendo Switch, I say that because you get a little bit of everything. Maybe not so much hardcore games, but 9 times out of 10, if someone's never played a video game, they're obviously a casual. So you want them to be able to play something and be enjoyable. And I think that, a lot of the Nintendo games are happy-go-lucky. So, you can pick up anybody can pick up Super Mario Brothers and play it for a little bit. It may not be great, but they can pick it up and play it. And one of the main reasons that I chose the Switch and it sticks out is because you also get the opportunity to play it in an interactive way with the Joy-Cons and stuff like that, with like games like 1-2 Switch, Nintendo Switch Sports, all those games I love. I play with the family and kids. I have friends over at game nights and stuff like that, and we play that. And I think that's just a great opportunity to experience games where it's not just sitting there with a controller, but it's also interactive. And we got the Wii to thank for that, because everybody and their mama had a Wii.
Everybody, dude.
Everybody.
Every grandma and every nursing home across this great nation had a Wii.
I was even gonna say my grandma.
Dude, hey, but tell me if you guys think I'm wrong. Like, just because you brought that up, thinking of it, like if you wanted like retro and modern, right, but you didn't want to have like 100 consoles hooked up, right, like some of us crazy people, like honestly, bro, like if you got the fat PS3 that you can play 1 through 3, you got the PS5 so you could play 4 and 5, and then you got like the Nintendo Switch where it has like the NES and Super Nintendo and N64 classics plus all of their modern titles. Like, if you had just those 3 consoles, you have access to tens of thousands of games with just three consoles, physically and digitally, because as of right now the PS3 store is still active. You can still buy games on there. So like, honestly, if you were going to get any consoles, those would be the 3 right there, man, because you could play PlayStation and Xbox. I mean, yeah, sure, a 360 is good too, though. I can't knock 360.
That was a good time too,
but
absolutely,
those would be my 3 choices as well. You guys were like spot on with that, for real.
Yeah, that's a good point. With the NSO Nintendo Switch Online, that opens up the possibilities and capabilities of that, and that expands generations. You got Game Boy on there, N64, NES. There's so much, and that's the same with the backwards compatible PS3, which you're gonna kick out a little bit of money, but you're able to play, and then especially with that, you're able to play that. Well, actually both, because they both have HDMI out, so you don't necessarily have to have a CRT TV to play, and you get a lot. You cover a lot of ground with those. And
the PS3 also, when you put a PS1 or PS2 disc in it, it has built-in upscaling, and it will actually make the games look better in 1080p. So like your PS2 games and your PS1 images are really cleaned up, and it looks really nice, like on a PS3.
That's very true.
And
Yeah.
I also forgot to say, I mean, with the Switch, you can play anywhere.
Anywhere.
True,
Anywhere.
yeah.
Expect whether it's a Switch Lite or regular Switch OLED, especially this regular Switch and Switch OLED, you can take those and set those up anywhere. Take the Joy Cons off, put the kickstand up on the back, and be playing on a little mini TV anywhere you go.
Mm.
Plane, train,
Bro,
car,
Pla-
church in the back, wherever
Planes,
you are, you can
planes,
play.
trains, and automobiles. Hey, look, what I love about my Switch, dude, is like I got a dock here in my game room, but then I have a dock here on my 75-inch 4K. All I gotta do
Mhm.
is just lift the tablet out of one dock and just set it in another,
Mhm.
and I could play it in any room in the house. Dude, Nintendo, I I gotta give it to them, man.
Yeah, they were
They
revolutionary with that one.
they the Wii U, the Wii U, uh, what's the term, walked so that the Switch could run, right?
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
honestly, dude, and I like the Wii U. People knock that console. I still got mine all set up. I love my Wii U. I'm not gonna lie, but the Switch is revolutionary, and I just love that console, dude. It's like almost perfect, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. As much as people don't want to admit it, it covered a lot of ground, and it's a trendsetter. Look at everything that came after that.
Steam Deck.
Log Allies, Steam
Mhm.
Deck.
Yep.
Speaking of which, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that real quick. The Steam Deck. Who on here has one? Who has a Steam Deck out
Y-
of you guys?
I kind of want one, just for the fact that I would love to mod it and put retro games on it and put Switch games on it and stuff. But I don't know,
Let,
man. It's like, do I really need it?
Same
let
thing.
me.
I want one.
Ooh,
Okay.
it's quite awesome. I don't have
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
Cyber Flight the SoCal, I watched a lot of playing pause on that Steam Deck, and it's awesome.
Mhm.
And the
Let me tell
battery
y'all.
life is way better than the Switch battery life.
Kind of a high barrier to entry though. It's kind of pricey. That's the
Yeah.
reason I didn't get it.
I
Yes.
think you can find a used one, like the original model. I was looking because I really wanted one just to play Switch games and stuff on it, like to modify the thing. And to be honest with you, you could find a used one for like 150, 200
Oh,
or
that's
something
not
like
bad.
that. That's not too bad, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you, because I was up in the air about it for a while, right? So yes, it's a high entry point. And my recommendation, if you're going to go and get a Steam Deck, you might as well get an OLED. There's no
Yeah.
point in getting something, loving it, and then you're like, oh, or you get the regular one, and then you see the OLED, night and day. You shouldn't even just rob yourself. Just get the high quality, and I highly recommend it. And to piggyback on Rex point, you don't need to mod it. That's the beautiful thing about it. It literally comes set up. All you got to do is pretty much put your ROMs in there, and it is right out the gate, ready to go. And the reason why I recommend it, I still recommend collecting and getting your original copies. We are not
For sure.
condoning any type of piracy, but the fact that I can have so much in one place at one time and it's mobile, it honestly gets no better. Like Prince was saying, I'm literally on the plane to SoCal. I'm playing NFL Blitz. I'm going from Game Boy up to N64 to Dreamcast to SNES and back. And you literally have all of this. Not to mention, you can dock it.
Yes, just
And
like a
it's
Switch.
very simplistic and it's a portable PC.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
opportunities is almost limitless with that thing. Just for the, especially if you want to preserve what you have and not use your original hardware at the risk of damaging it or something like that, you could utilize a Steam Deck and be able to play all of your stuff and kind of preserve what you have, because I think it's important for anybody that's invested in gaming, no matter which level you're at, to preserve gaming, because a lot of stuff is disappearing. So
Yeah.
that's a way to preserve what you have, and also just to kind of save space in your game room and not necessarily have to hook everything up. You kind of could just boom, put that on, and it's out the gate. It's pretty much built for that reason. Honestly, like that was the main thing. A lot of things you got to do things to mod, and some is more difficult than the other. But the way they laid Steam Deck out, they kind of had it laid out for you, just ready for you to go and just literally go ham. And not to mention all of the retro stuff. We're not just talking about that, but just the games that's available on Steam.
Yeah.
That's like a whole that when you think about it, if you break it down, let's just say you wanted to get a lot of the retro systems. You want to get Game Boy, NES, SNES, PS1, all that stuff. By the time you add it up, you probably might spend like $700 when you think about it. So I'm not deterring anyone from doing it, but like if you feel like you don't want to have to switch things around and have to, do all of these things to play these games, unless you have it hooked up, more power to you. But that's just an option. And also just the availability to be able to take it on the go with you. But there is, other options. I think Steam Deck is kind of the best available in my opinion. Has anybody tried the ROG Ally? And I think what's that one company that has one as
There's
well?
another one that
Legion. Legion.
yeah,
Is it Legion?
yeah, the Legion, and then there's the Aya Neo ones as well. Like all these like handheld PCs have been coming out left and right. There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
But I still might get a Steam Deck one day, dude, because it just seems like it would be dope as hell to like be able to emulate like all of these consoles on the go anytime you want. Like literally. Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's like I got one right here. It's like a more powerful version of these Ambernicks, right? Like I have an Ambernick that has like, I don't know, 10 or 20,000 games on it, and this thing is great. It's like the shape of a Game Boy Advance, and I can play like all the old school games that I want. But a Steam Deck is literally so freaking powerful compared to like an Ambernick, right? So it would be dope to be able to play, games like that, on the go. That would be amazing. But let me give a shout out real quick to the first console that was technically a hybrid, and it'll be the only time on this podcast I ever shout out Sega. I got to give it up for the Sega Nomad, because a lot of people don't realize that the Sega Nomad, you could dock the Sega Nomad. You could plug it into your TV and play it.
Yeah.
You could play it on your TV. And for those of you who don't know, it was Sega's handheld console that you could actually put Sega Genesis games into and have your Sega Genesis on the go, or plug it into your TV. So technically Sega did it first, man. They were innovating but way back then, dude. Way back then.
That's true.
Yeah, honestly, dude, like that they kind of did it first, but I mean, they're not around like they were, so.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the Nomad gets overlooked when it comes to that aspect. But yeah, you know what? We're gonna raise the bar a little bit, because this one is absolutely forgotten about. Nomad's forgotten about, but I think it's a little more well known because Sega is a big part of gaming history. We got a lot of huge Sega fanboys and fans, right? But what about the what is it called? The Turbo Graphics.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the
PC Engine.
the Turbo Graphics, the mini
Turbo
one.
Express.
The Turbo Express, yeah.
That right there. I've never played one. I've seen it, but that's legit. I mean, same as the Nomad. It's just not as big as bulky, but you legit have that console in your hands. Does anybody have a Turbo Express? I've never had the opportunity to have one.
I've seen it twice. That's how much they cost. Only at conventions.
Yeah, I see it quite a bit. So let's look into the chat, see what's going on. Retro Rob says he remembers waiting outside for the Wii. Now that's interesting. So, I don't know. I guess at the time, like, it wasn't the hype before; it was more so the hype after. For me,
it was so hard to get one, dude.
Yeah,
when it came out.
So, what was everybody's experience like around the time of? Actually, yeah, we'll finish that, and I got another question. But go ahead, AK. I see you got something to say.
Oh no, I just saw you were about to ask about like when the Wii came out, and honestly, I don't want to like age myself or anything, but like I was pretty young when it came out. Honestly, my parents just bought it, so I don't know what I was doing. I just know it showed up at my house and I played it.
Dude,
that's awesome.
The way I got mine, because that was like a console. We got it at launch, but the way we got it was I was playing for a Pop Warner football team, a local like little kids football league, and the president of that league, she was good friends with my mom, and she was also the store manager for a Toys R Us. And
awesome.
She came to my mom and said, "Hey, Christmas is coming up. Your boys want a Wii." And my mom's like, "Absolutely." So like when they came in, her name was Monica, really nice lady. She put one aside, and my mom went and paid for it, and we got a Wii on Christmas the year it came out, when a lot of people couldn't get one for a long time, dude. And I loved the Wii, dude. Like, a lot of people knock it, but man, it was such a fun console. The virtual console on there where you could buy your old school games, and like the first party stuff was really good, man. Like, I remember playing Red Steel for the first time, and I just thought it was so cool, swinging the sword and swinging the remote. Dude, the first time I ever beat Twilight Princess was on the Wii, not the GameCube. Like, I loved it. Oh, and I will say, one of the best ways to play Madden 08 on the Wii with Vince Young on the cover. Like, throwing the football and stuff, dude, that was fun, man. I loved the Wii. I still love the Wii. I got mine over here modded with like 8,000 games on it. I love my
Oh
Wii.
my gosh.
That's pretty
Yeah.
dope.
I loved Just Dance. Me and my family would always get on that game, and Wii Sports, even though it's kind of like cliche, but like we would always get on that game, or like the party games. I think there was like Pac-Man Party was one of them. I don't remember having Mario Party, but I just remember the Wii being like such a great console for, everybody to join in and just, play in the house. Like, it was just a fun time.
Okay. French.
Yeah, so I have my Wii story, pulse. It's kind of funny, and it makes me feel old because I didn't realize how the, the disparity in age between me and VGV and Rec and AK. I was in the military at that time, and I had actually got an Xbox 360 off base and traded it with somebody for a Wii because they were sold out everywhere. I played the 360 for like a week, but I really wanted the Wii just to play Wii Sports and like all the other stuff that was out for it. And I traded it with some little kid who I ended up finding out had stolen it because somehow I
Huh.
found pictures of some other family on on the Wii. But I was like, oh, this kid stole it. But I still have that Wii to this day. It's right behind me. It got stickers all over it. Like, and the great thing is it was backwards compatible with the
GameCube.
GameCube, which I had
Yeah.
originally traded for a PS2 when I got out of basic training. So it's just a whole bunch of trading going back and forth in my Wii story. But yeah, that's how I got mine. I wasn't mad that I traded the Xbox 360, but I did get one years and years and years later. But I still played the Wii way more than I played the 360, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's a funny story, and I just want to point something out. Not all Wii's are GameCube backwards compatible.
No.
It's like only a select few. Just point that out. But
Yeah.
my first experience, like at that time, like I'm like a young adult, so you kind of fade out of gaming just a tad. You kind of fall back into it. But everybody was like playing like the Wii bowling and Wii tennis and stuff like that. So that was like my first experience with it. So I mean, that was a good time though, because that definitely that was a lot of fun, and that was like the centerpiece to a lot of like family get-togethers, game nights, and stuff like that. And it's people to this day that still play the Wii. And prime example of that being how they released, what was it, Just Dance 2019
Yeah.
on the Wii, and
Yeah.
it was been done. Like that's because it was such a huge just need for it. People were wanting it because they still had, a lot of like the casual gamers. And that in their mind, they felt like that was the best way to play it, or they were just that familiar and they wasn't investing the time or money to put into a Nintendo Switch. But that was my introduction. But I do have a follow-up question that made me think about it from Retro Rob's comment. Have any of you ever waited outside on release day for a console?
Console?
Not for a
Yep.
console.
No,
Or
I've done
or
it for games, but I've never done it for a console. Have I? No, dude, because I always got my consoles for like, because I was a kid when a lot of those came out, right? No, I lied.
Mhm.
I am a liar. I did once, and I waited 12 hours in line like an idiot. I waited in front of a GameStop with my little brother with like hundreds of dollars worth of trade for an Xbox One, the big fat VCR one with the Kinect, like
Yeah.
2013. Me and my brother, we did not pre-order one, so we're like, well, let's go try to get this thing still. So he wanted one and I wanted one, so we went to the GameStop around the corner. We brought our camping chairs. We got there.
Awesome.
They were gonna launch it. They were gonna release it at like midnight. So we got there at like 8 in the morning, Like, dude, we waited like
Wow.
all day and we just sat there. There was one kid in front of us. The GameStop employees would not tell us how many extras they had that were not pre-orders, right? They just were like, well, we have some, but we can't tell you how many. So like for 12 hours, we're sitting there, we're like, damn, dude, are we going to get one or not? But we were the second and third person in line. So as long as they had 3, we were going to be all right. Dude, we waited all day. It was kind of fun, like hanging out with everybody in line, and we were all chopping it up about games. There was a Wiener Schnitzel in the parking lot, so we was eating hot dogs and chilling all day long, had our camping chairs. And me and my brother, we got our Xbox Ones on launch day. Like, that was the only time I've ever waited for a console. So, yeah. And I regret it because it's a terrible, terrible console. It's an awful, awful console. I wish we would have waited for the PS4 because that console was dog water, dude. Like, it was bad. It was the government spying on you with that Kinect thing.
So, Fritz, you never waited outside for a console?
I've never waited outside for anything but Jordans and foam posits.
Okay. That's a DMV thing, guys. About the phone.
For sure.
So I did, and funny enough, it was for the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
You would think, right, that like I always loved Nintendo. Of course, it's my love for it is, you know, risen over the past couple of years. But at the time, like, you know, I'm back into gaming. I'm like, all right, I don't need to rush to get it, you know. So that's how I felt. But the more and more I started looking into it, I'm like, you know, I think I want this thing, and I want it now. You know, I can get impatient. So I'm like, all right, you know, I'll be able to find one. I'm calling around, pre-orders sold out. Oh, we're not gonna have any extras. Da da da. So I called one GameStop, which I'm actually still in contact with that one currently, and they said, yeah, we're gonna have a couple. So I was at work, and I got off at 3:30, and I went straight to the store. What was messed up was GameStop stayed open the entire time. They didn't close at like 8, 9 o'clock. They stayed open, but they told us we couldn't wait in the store. And it was kind of cold because I think it was released in what, February, March, something like that.
It was March.
March, right? So it was pretty cold. And it was just one kid in front of me. I believe he was there with his mom or something. So I'm there like 4 o'clock and I'm waiting. So I'm second and this kid's first. I literally met that kid's entire family. His mom, his dad, his grandparents, because they was doing like shifts. So I ended up moving my car like right in front of the store. Then these other kids came behind us, and we had chairs. We sat out there. It was kind of chilling. Then like closer it got to midnight, people started showing up. But I ended up getting mine on launch day. I was happy that I did because I ended up having a lot of fun. I really love the Switch. But
Dude,
that was
wild.
What, 8, 9 hours?
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
something like that.
That's wild, dude, because like I swear to you, I remember like what day was that? Did it come out on a Friday or a Saturday or something? I can't remember, but for whatever reason, dude, I was not working that day. And my wife was off too. And I remember it was early in the morning, dude. Like it was probably like 6, 7 in the morning. I'm just laying in bed next to my wife and I'm like scrolling on my phone. I'm like, oh, the Switch comes out today. I think I'm gonna go buy one. Like literally the day of. So I drove down like literally like 15 minutes away to the local Target. 8 in the morning, Target opens up. I walk right in. There's nobody in line it's Target. And like I just walked right up to the electronics section. I was like, hey, can I get a Switch? And I bought Breath of the Wild and every Breath of the Wild amiibo, and I walked out. Like it was like I didn't have to, it was I didn't pre-order it. I didn't know that. I just walked in and bought one like on opening day when Target opened. Like it was weird.
That's insane.
No,
that
dude.
happened.
Yeah, it was nuts, dude. Like it was no hassle. There was nobody even there to get one. Like it was kind of crazy. Like I just walked in and walked out with all the amiibos, the games, like everything, no problem. Like I thought for sure I was gonna have to hunt for it that morning.
Yeah.
It took me so long to get one because every time like I had the money for it, it was sold out everywhere. And then I think I finally got one like I think it was a year or 2 later. Like it took me so long to get a Switch. Yeah.
So I do have a question from my chat. So my good friend Tay would like to know, have you guys ever pre-ordered a game that you were excited for, but was a huge disappointment when you got it? What was that BioWare game?
Biohazard?
No, though it was made by the company BioWare. It was absolutely awful. Where it was almost like playing like Halo in third person, like where you'd fly around in these suits and oh my god, it was terrible. I pre-ordered that because my friend convinced me to pre-order it, and it was one of the worst games I'd ever played. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't. That I pre-ordered.
Yeah, something you were hyped about, and Anthem. That's what it's called, Anthem.
Oh
God,
yeah.
it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And all my friends were like, dude, you could play co-op and we're all going to play together and you got to get it. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's not really my kind of game. Please get it. Please get it. We got it. Even they, after playing it for a few hours, like, man, this game sucks, man. I'm like, yeah, we wasted $60. Thanks. Appreciate it. It was a bad game, dude.
Oh man.
I mean, maybe
else,
maybe not pre-ordered, but like, has there ever been a game that you were hyped about and then you get it and you're like, man, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, this ain't good.
Cyberpunk.
Really?
I did not like Cyberpunk. Sorry, I know it's a favorite by a lot of people. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people were disappointed initially because they had to run those patches, or was that the
No, that was it.
Yeah, they had to run them patches,
it was
and everybody liked it.
Dude,
like
it was
crazy.
bad. I tried to stream it on opening day on Twitch and it was so buggy that I had to end stream and I had to stop streaming it in front of people because it was so bad on launch day. Like, it was so
I
bad.
didn't like it.
Phenomenal
even
now
after
though.
It's phenomenal now.
Oh,
I
really?
will say it's awesome now. I love playing it.
Yeah.
Mine is kind of funny. I couldn't think of one, and I don't remember. I think I actually did pre-order this, and I've only pre-ordered I think 3 games ever. It's this large box sitting up here. It's a music game, Power Gig, on the PS3, and it was supposed to be like a new way to play like Guitar Hero and all that stuff. Because those are some of my favorite games. It comes with a real guitar, which is awesome, and the drum set is Bluetooth. And the game itself is terrible. It's unresponsive when you play it.
Mhm.
Bluetooth doesn't work. Like you got to sit the drums on the floor and just bang in the like do this in the air for it to pick up. It's trash. Like the game sucked, but the guitar was cool. That outside of that, I wasted quite a bit of money on it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Like, it's not hard to. It's very difficult to disappoint me, in terms of gaming. But if I can, it's funny enough, I did a review on it recently. The new Turtles game. What is it? Attack of the Mutants.
Okay.
I actually finished it, but it was kind of frustrating. Like it had that old feel, but like the controls were like pretty sticky and like it almost felt like it was lagging. So I was kind of like a little frustrated a little bit. I did finish it, but that's the closest thing I could think about. Not saying it's a horrible game, but I think that was like one of the last ones. So I was kind of like, all right, this that I actually wanted to play, that I felt like was, a little bit of a disappointment, but not too much.
Okay.
But it was $30, so I didn't complain.
Marcus,
Yep.
you think it's time we talk about the amazing Nintendo Direct that just happened the other day?
Sure, we can get into that. That was exciting.
Because I'm going to
Wanna
tell you,
start it off?
I'm going to tell you right now, man, this was one of the best Nintendo Directs that we've had in a long time. And it goes to show that Nintendo is still able to put out good games on a console that is almost 8 years old. Like, dude, the amount of amazing titles and franchises that are coming out. I mean, for those of you in chat that have not seen what's coming out, dude, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, from Dragon Quest to, we're getting all 3 of the first Dragon Quest, or here in America, they would have been Dragon Warrior games, in an HD 2D remake or remaster. We're also getting Donkey Kong Country Returns from the Wii, and that was a fantastic game in HD. We're getting Metroid Prime 4. We're getting Mario and Luigi Brothership. We're getting a new Mario Party and a new Legend of Zelda where you play as Zelda. And here's the misconception that people have. That is not the first game that you play as Zelda. A lot of people forget Zelda's Adventure on the Philips CDI. You play as Zelda.
Oh my God, that should not count.
You play you play as Zelda in that game, and that game is like $2,000, but it is literally you play as Zelda in that game. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to kick that off because, like, honestly, they're still going with great games. Oh, and they, obviously it was announced before, but they reminded everybody like, hey, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD
Yeah.
is coming to the Switch still. Dude,
Yep.
there's so many good games coming to the Switch. So like I'll let you guys like talk about it like moving forward, but like honestly guys, so many good games, and even ones that I just missed, like a Mario Party, like all kinds of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So who wants to go next? French, what do you think about the
Uh,
direct?
I'll definitely hop in there. It was definitely I caught the live of it a little late, but went back and watched it. Like, I mean, how can you not just love to see all the stuff coming out? Like from Mario and Luigi to again the Legend of Link, as I like to say now, or the Legend of Zelda.
That would have been so
It's just,
cool.
yeah,
If
it
they
definitely
if
was.
they named it that, dude, like that would
That'd be
the
crazy.
internet would have went nuts, dude. Like for
Yeah, and
real.
and people in the chat and the live were just kept calling it that. They was like, it's the Legend of Link now, because I was like, yeah,
It's
that would have
true.
been that cool. But
Oh
it just
man.
looks like, and the crazy thing is, you watching the direct and you getting hyped over games, almost forgetting that there's still supposed to be a next gen console coming out
Yeah.
sometime. We're hoping still next year, but like it doesn't overshadow the fact, but it also gets you to the point where like, well, maybe I can wait a little bit because these games are gonna be dope. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, like finally, like everybody's like, even though I think that what they said 2025 for that still, so maybe that might be on the next gen console, but like to just see all the awesome titles and to see people hyped about it. Yeah, people were looking for some other things, but everything that they put out, it was dope. And I just like watching them live because you can watch them. It also looked like a kung fu flick because you can see their mouths moving and then hear the and certain. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hilarious to watch like that, but it's definitely dope.
AK, what you think about the direct?
Yeah, so one thing that I'll have to like give Nintendo is they're really big with like their indie games. So yeah, I really did like the Mario and Luigi game. It looked like a really like cool, unique style. I loved it. I loved how they mentioned like there was a few Disney games. I really liked the Legend of Zelda game, but there was I believe it was an indie game called Mio's Memories in Orbit, and I just think
Mhm.
that game looked really creative, and like I love the art style. It almost looked like it was something like familiar, but like not at the same time. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing like more about that game.
Mhm.
Um, I'm super excited for Luigi's Mansion 2 because believe it or not, like I said, like I'm not too big on Nintendo, but I've played Luigi's Mansion 3 and I love that game. So I'm really excited for the second one to now come out and, me play that. So I'm really, really excited to see, what else they come out with in the future and how these games turn out.
Yeah. Um. So of course I was excited. Watching everything. I'm actually trying to pull up a list because I'm pretty sure we missed a couple of the games that we probably didn't even really think about. One thing, obviously Mario and Luigi Brotherhood definitely stood out for me. Like right
Yeah.
at the beginning, it came out the gates with that. Another thing that stood out for me was that Marvel fighting compilation. Oh
Oh yeah.
my
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
god.
And it has been confirmed that there will be a physical copy. Oh man, dude, I got to get that because Marvel vs.
That
Capcom 2 is on there.
that game, we can actually stay on that for a second. That game, I'm telling you now, it's going to sell like crazy. And I say that because not only is it coming out for the Switch, it's coming out on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah.
So, and as big as the fighting game world is with Evo and stuff, and now they put so many bangers on this compilation. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, Capcom outdid themselves. X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom 2. So, collectors out there, their prices get ready to drop
Thank God, because
substantially.
I need Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the PS2. So I
So
need
it's
that.
like
It's $200.
that's like 100.
It's
Yeah, it's around there.
$200. Like I'm wait that game comes out and then they drop the price down to like one something. I'm like, cool, that's when I'll get it. But French, you said you had to dip out, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Yeah, you guys straight dad mode over here as usual. Rec, Marcus, and AK all know how it is with me. I'm always disappearing in our chat because it's something with the baby. I just pop in, but I gotta get my daughter, unfortunately. But the great thing about the upcoming retro podcast is there's still 3 other co-hosts who can have a great conversation without your favorite blurred here. But nobody pays attention to me anyway. But yes, you guys, I definitely been great hopping on here. Episode 1. I'm gonna miss a lot of the rest of the Nintendo Direct talk, but it's still some bangers that we didn't even mention going on there. So appreciate you guys. Check me out any and everywhere, Black
Yep.
Ranger No C.
A-
And I will see you guys in the chat and next week.
Anyway, also guys, all of our channels are in the video description down below. So check out all of their channels. They are all down there. We also started our own YouTube channel for the podcast specifically. So streaming here on my channel will not be a permanent thing, or on Video Game
Absolutely.
Votary's channel. There was just some technical difficulties with the podcast channel. Moving forward, though, we're going to be streaming it to the podcast YouTube channel. So basically, check out that as well. That'll be in the video description as well, and all of our
please go
channels.
subscribe to that channel.
Yeah, so
Yep.
definitely check that out, you guys, for sure.
So we will see you next week, Black Ranger. Go be
For
daddy.
sure.
Later,
Appreciate
man.
it. Love everybody in the chat. Love my co-host. See you guys next week.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Later. All right, yeah. So as Rec was saying, everything is down in the description. Some things we didn't foresee happening, with the channel, but please go and subscribe to that channel because we're trying to gain some traction to get people to go over there.
Yep.
But in the upcoming weeks, we will be streaming specifically from that channel. So just keep that in mind. And also, if you're not subscribed to the other creators, because I know Rex Live as well, make sure you subscribe to other creators' channels, BlakRanger, AK Games, myself, Video Game Voter, as well as RectWizard, just to kind of show the support to everyone.
Yep.
Thank you, Retro Rob, for the recent subscription. But
also really quickly as well, down in the video description, you guys, we also started podcast community Discord. So if you would like to join our Discord for the upcoming retro podcast, come join, talk with us, hang out with us, give us suggestions, like whatever you guys want, like we will be there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you guys for that, especially. But let's get back to that Capcom fighting compilation. That's going to do so much just outside of it just being a compilation of bangers, but just the games that's on there. They even included, which I thought was kind of strange. It was kind of like it just came out of left field for me. You got all these awesome fighting games, and then you got The Punisher, which is a great game, though. I'm not mad at it. It just kind of seems like it was just like out of nowhere. You got Children of the Atom. All of these are pricey games for their respective consoles. So that's going to drop the price of those. So if you are a collector or a reseller, especially if you're a reseller, you better off those games now while you can. Because when that comes out, the amount of fighting games that take place or competitions that people play on the PS4, especially still, you get Marvel vs. Capcom and Children of the Atom and all these things, it's going to be crazy. Like people are going to automatically, they're probably not even going to crack open the old ones. I mean, you're going to have some people that's going to do that, but they are absolutely going to be playing on the PlayStation. So that was awesome as well. Of course, you got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which is the remake of Dark Moon from the 3DS. Donkey Kong Returns. I know Rec mentioned that, which initially came out on the Wii. That game looks unbelievably good. Like, it is probably just small updates. You got to think we were still at a time where we were using AV cables, on some CRTs before it really got a chance to go to HD. But just even the looks of that was awesome. And it's like, I think that this is a question I want to put to the chat as well as the other co-hosts. Do you think Nintendo is aware of how close they are of lapping the 3DS and the PS2 and being the top selling console of all time? Do you think they're aware of that?
100%. Yeah, I think they know. I mean, Nintendo's a really big company because I just, when I think of Nintendo, I think of how much reach they have from, very young kids to, older people. You know, like I feel like they just cater to everybody. So
Yeah.
I think they know. They sell a lot.
So
Mhm.
wait. What was the question? Was
So the question is, do you think, and this is based on, let me kind of drive my point home. This was based on the fact that this Nintendo Direct was so heavy with
right
so many bangers on there. To me, it's making me think like they got to know that they're close.
to
And I'm
being the
sure,
best-selling
like,
console?
yeah, I mean, we know Nintendo has always marched to the beat of their own drum. We're very well aware of that.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I feel like you got a Mario and Luigi game, you got a new Zelda game, and you got Metroid Prime 4, and then you're dropping a Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that they're like, nah, we're swinging for the fence. Oh, not to mention the same day that that new Zelda comes out,
Yep.
that special edition Zelda, Legend of Zelda Switch, like, oh
Oh yeah, I
my
forgot about
god,
I will be getting that for
man,
sure.
oh man. So back to my point. Do you think Nintendo is aware of how close they are of breaking that record? And do you think that's the purpose of them releasing so much on this console, especially with them supposed to be dropping a new console within the next year? What do you think, Rec?
I think that, I think it is their final push to keep the Switch going. Especially to hold people over and get people excited because the new Nintendo console is been pushed to next year at some point. Um, so honestly, do I think that it could top the PlayStation 2 as the best-selling console of all time? Yes, I do. 100%. The one thing I'm still wondering though is like they announced all of these games, and the first one that comes to mind is Metroid Prime 4. Are they going to be releasing a next gen version of that game for the new console that comes out next year? That's what I'm curious about because, again, the Switch is 7 or 8 years old with, a processor and a graphics chip that's even older than that. How is Metroid Prime 4 going to hold up on the Switch? And are they going to be making a more updated version for the new console, or will it just be the regular Switch version that's backwards compatible with the new console? I don't know. But I do think that this was a good final push to get people hyped. And when the new console comes out, I think it's going to do very, very well.
Okay, that's a good point. Um, so I mean, obviously, I think that they're well aware of that. Um, I know that they said it was an issue, I believe, with the production, which is why they pushed it back. But I also feel like they kind of had that in mind. Like, we got some games that we could put out, and obviously they know that they have some stuff lined up for the next gen console, which to me that opens my imagination. What do they have lined up for launch titles for this next console? Because it's got to be crazy if you're dropping Metroid Prime 4, which as long as it's been in production, they literally could have waited at this point. Especially if the console's coming out next year, you're dropping the new Metroid next year. What do you have planned for this next console? Like, my mind is kind of blown with that. It's like, I think it's just going to be crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely think that it's going to be backwards compatible for sure. Nintendo's really good with that. They will 9 times out of 10, it's normally backwards compatible with at least the previous generation. So I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely think that they had that in mind. And I mean, the Nintendo Switch has had an amazing run. It changed the landscape of gaming probably forever. You got all these new portable handheld consoles that's been coming out, and that inspired everyone to do that. But for them to come and create this and then to build on it, and they considering honestly the Nintendo Switch is underpowered by like a lot, right? It could be so
Yeah.
much stronger and better even when it was first created. But even like now, there's so much room for it to grow and to make it better. And even just kind of just getting it on par somewhat with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and stuff like that, that takes it to a whole nother level, so
Yeah. That's a tough one, dude, because I could have swore that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be a launch title for the next gen console, and they announced it, for this console. So, um,
mhm.
I don't know what they have up their sleeves, but can I just say that, like, if there were two things I would like to see as a launch for the next Switch, and I don't think it will happen, but I would love to see
That's a
it.
good question.
I would love to see them bring back Star Fox for the next console. I love Star Fox, and the last game for the Wii U was not good because of the controls. The control scheme was really bad. And then the one thing that all Zelda fans have been dying to see is Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD finally ported over to a more modern console. And I would love to see that come over to the next gen console and get like a dual pack of like, I'd pay $60, $30 a game, and buy that. And then also, now that we've seen that they like the whole Link's Awakening art style because of the new Echoes of Wisdom that's coming, I would really like to see A Link to the Past remade in that art style. Like, that would be amazing.
Like that,
so that's what I would like to see for next gen Nintendo. Those three things. I think Star Fox needs a comeback. Metroid has been getting a lot of love lately, which, rightfully so. You had Metroid Dread, which is your castle, your Metroidvania style, but then you had Metroid Prime 1 remaster. That 2 and 3 are going to come, and now we got Metroid Prime 4. I think Star Fox needs a little love. It would be nice to see a Star Fox game.
That's very true. What do you think? So we're going to piggyback off of that because I think that was a great question. AK, what would you like to see as a launch title if you had your pick for the next Nintendo console?
A launch title? Honestly, I just think they should just come out.
I was going to say, or just come to the next console.
Yeah, okay.
Not necessarily launch title, but what would you like to see happen with this next gen console?
Well, the main thing I think I'd want to see from the Nintendo Switch is really kind of just what you were saying earlier, for them to be a little more powerful, just to compete a little more with the other consoles, because I think they do a great job with coming out with like creative games, like I said earlier, with the indie games and stuff like that. So I think if they were to make it, just a little more powerful, I think it could take over like way quicker.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would definitely like to see Kid Icarus make its return.
Oh yeah.
Uprising for the 3DS was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's way overdue for that. And I'm trying to think like the other Nintendo IPs, they've been okay. Like obviously Star Fox would be one.
Yes.
Because even with the Switch, they did drop a couple Metroid games. It wasn't Prime 4. And the reason why that got so much heat is because they spoke about it years ago.
Right.
But they gave you some Kirby titles. So they covered a lot of ground, but Star Fox is needed. I'm actually kind of shocked that they didn't do something on the Switch because I don't think there's any Star Fox games on the Switch.
No, there's not. And a big part of that is because the Star Fox game that came out on the Wii U was such a failure because of those controls. Like, it was so bad, dude. And I was so hyped for that game because it looks fantastic, but it's so hard to play because the controls between the gamepad and the TV, like the fact that you have to constantly look up and down all the time, very hard to play, and it's not fun. So like, I was hoping what they would do is take that game, because again, looks fantastic, literally strip those crappy controls out and just make it a more traditional control scheme and put it on the Switch. Like, that's what I was hoping for, because then it would be a good game and it would get a second look by people, and I think people would really like it. A lot. But you mentioned Kirby too. All three Kirby games, Return to Dreamland Deluxe, Forgotten Land, and All Stars, I've played all three with my daughter. They're all fantastic Kirby games, dude. And now we have Tropical Freeze for Donkey Kong, and now we're getting Donkey Kong Country Returns 2. Like, a lot of the IPs got a lot of love on the Switch this generation. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So like I said, I think Kid Icarus would be fantastic to bring back. Because the Switch kind of grabbed everything but Star Fox for this console, which kind of makes me think that maybe Star Fox is something that may be leading off that next console. Because that right there, with it not being present for past few years, will definitely get the buzz going. New console, new Star Fox. I kind of predict that happening. That's just my thoughts, because they did just drop Super Mario Wonder not too long ago, which is a fantastic game.
Yep.
But that's not to say that they don't have a 3D Mario title on the way too.
Oh, dude, everybody's been talking that we're gonna see a Mario Odyssey 2 or something. You know what I mean?
Oh my God,
that would be amazing.
Yes, absolutely, totally agree. So let's shift gears to something you two are familiar with, PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the fact that PlayStation apparently has discontinued support for the PlayStation VR. AK Games, let's start with you and get your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I actually got the story from IGN, and they actually write that Sony cuts investment in VR development. Only two first-party VR games are currently in development right now, and this just makes me think of like how much excitement that was surrounded by the VR at first, and all of a sudden you just kind of hear that it's died. Another thing that they said is that the PlayStation VR 2 was released last year, though the headset seemingly lost momentum since their release. And despite their technical features, there's some reason why people won't invest. Like it's the price or the requirement to own like a PS5, and also they don't come out with enough new games for people to like want to like spend the money to invest in it when they could just buy stuff like the Meta Quest 2 or 3 that are more competitively priced and they don't require additional hardware to run. So, and they also have, their own exclusives. That's like a lot of them. So I was just wondering what you guys think because, VR is such like a funny thing. Like people either love it or hate it. So, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I think VR is very fun. I enjoy it. I've played Beat Saber. I've played a couple of games on VR, and I really like it. But the problem is, dude, is like, didn't the PlayStation VR 2 cost more than the console itself?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
the $600 price tag is like it's a very high point of entry for like an everyday gamer. It's like hard to justify like, well, I'm spending $100 to $150 more than I would on the actual console, especially for something as niche as VR. Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest, as cool as it is, it's very niche. It's not for a lot of people. And I kind of had a feeling with things like, the Oculus already out, and the Oculus is at a way more affordable price point, and
Yep.
honestly, dude, why would you buy a PS2 V or a PS5 VR 2 or whatever? Why would you buy it when you could just go get an Oculus and I could play my entire Steam library or the Oculus library right in my headset, not have to hook it up to a console, not have to do anything. I could just literally just use the headset and play it in my living room. And I had a feeling that the PlayStation VR was going to flop because of the price point and the fact that you can get an Oculus for hundreds and hundreds cheaper.
Yeah.
So
That's true. Yeah, I don't know why. It seems that Sony, thankfully, they still have great games because they have backed themselves in the corner a couple times with stuff like that, where they are hell bent on we need you to get this hardware and only use our stuff. Prime example being the PlayStation Vita, those memory cards, and how expensive they are to this day. Like, and I was gonna say the same thing about Nintendo. I'm hoping that these companies begin to realize not to be too ambitious, right? And what I mean by that is don't put so much into thought into using just one particular hardware or something to complement the hardware, like the memory cards. Like we should be able to get SD cards. They're readily available any and everywhere. So we should not just be only having to spend $75 still to this day for a memory card for the Vita.
yeah,
Mhm.
So even with that, like I'm sure they put money into creating and developing the PSVR headset, but that's insane that it costs more than a PS5.
yes,
Like
Mhm.
I don't know where they thought like how could you possibly justify that? And it's a very small community of people who really like love VR. Like I have the the first VR, which is fantastic. But at the same time, too, VR is like it's an acquired taste. You can't just jump right in and you can play it for hours because
Mhm.
you're absolutely going to get motion sickness, and
Yeah.
even the stuff with the heat. I don't know if they corrected things about like the headset because they had that thing where it was kind of blurry. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
all of these things just play a role, and I think it's kind of crazy that they did something like that to have that price point so expensive. And on top of that, like the last VR price just dropped in price because it was still like they wanted top dollar for that for the longest time. Like, they had to make better choices um when developing these things and giving the consumer more of an option, because that may be the way to getting people to want to invest into their product. If they're like, all right, everything, like at least they're kind of everyone's kind of going to USB-C, because
Right.
that was the thing. Everybody has USB-C for something. So, you have these options available for charge ports and stuff like that. Like they gotta be, keep the consumer in line a little bit when it comes to that. So hopefully
Hmm.
moving forward they would do that, but they're gonna have to do a price drop on that thing. And I don't know what else they could do to kind of save that at this point.
I don't think
More.
I don't think they would have to
So
drastically drop that price point and start coming out with games that would make people actually want to spend the money to buy it, dude. Honestly, because
Yeah.
I think Oculus has that market kind of sewed up right now just because of how much more affordable it is and how established the games are. Yo,
so
Kurt, what's up,
hey,
dude?
what's up, Curtis? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for stopping in, man.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Shout out to Curtis from the Pixel Game Squad in the building. What's going on, brother?
Absolutely.
one thing I kind of wanted to piggyback on is one reason that I'm not a big VR fan is because of the motion sickness. Like I
Right.
get super motion sickness playing that. And it's kind of funny too because I feel like VR and like AI and stuff like that just isn't taking off as much as everybody thought it was gonna, because even
Mhm,
when you think of the Apple Vision Pro, I think that's what it is, they
mhm.
just released that and I don't think they got like nearly as many sales as they thought they were gonna. And so like I think just not a lot of people are like, biting this like VR trend, I
Yeah,
guess that is starting up.
Right.
So
yeah, yeah. Again, and them being so ambitious and thinking like, okay, this is the next wave of gaming. But now you're not just involving hand-eye coordination. You're involving motion sickness. Like prime example, I got Iron Man on the first VR, and you wouldn't thinking, you're sitting there, you're playing it, but if you take off the fly and you're kind of looking down, like it messes you up. Like I legit could only play VR like 30-minute spans, if that. And then like the headset, I don't know what the new one's like, but it kind of creates heat in there too, so you get hot.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an awesome experience, but it's not something that I don't think it's something that is $600-700 worth.
it's not
Not
worth the
Wow.
yet.
price.
I feel like they got to break that in slowly and do it at a lower price point to kind of get people, to get the feel of it, and not so much of it being, I guess, so next gen and next level, because that's a lot for people to handle, especially when you're talking about actually people getting sick. Because that you're gonna piss a lot of people off if they want to play games, have fun, and then they're hopping on this game and they're getting sick. Like
Yeah.
that's not. And then you want me to spend $600-700 to throw up? Like, come on, dude, like you gotta do better
Yeah.
than that. Like that's not it. That's not rocking. So I mean, I think it's great, but I feel like they got to do something else. And just overall, just the overall landscape of VR, they got to start at a lower level.
Yeah.
I mean, not Oculus and stuff like that. I think that's a good point. I mean, they're kind of pricey, but obviously they're not what the PSVR 2 is. And I hate that they abandon stuff, but go back to the same point of being ambitious. They're abandoning it because they put so much money into it and they're not getting it back.
Yeah.
If they started gradually doing certain things, then they have the space to grow and correct things, get the feedback from the public,
Hmm.
because, these people that's trying stuff out, yeah, you're trying it for 10-15 minutes until you actually get in the game you want to play. And you're like, you can't even go past 35 minutes,
Hmm.
getting sick. Like they really got to do better with that. And even in the comments right here, we have sunflowers and yellow rose. I hope I said that right. Everybody saying, yep, same thing. Issues with the motion sickness. That's a
Yeah.
big deal. That's a big deal. Like, it's making things not be enjoyable. Like, what do you do with in that situation? So, do you guys agree with Sony abandoning it, or do you think that they should go back to the table and like try to make some adjustments and at least try to,
Um,
save it?
yeah, I think the only way they're gonna save it is reduce the price drastically. I don't know if financially it's worth it to them to do that.
Hmm.
Um, like if it would have instead of $600, if it would have launched at like $299, $300, I think it would have done a lot better.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I don't know how much they really pushed it as far as marketing goes. Like, I don't ever remember seeing a VR commercial for PlayStation 5. Like, I don't know, maybe.
I didn't either.
So it's like, how much did they really push it? And it's already such a niche thing. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that what Sony needs to do is, and I would say this about any video game company, is stop with the fucking gimmicks. Oh, sorry. And there it was, the first one. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
They need to stop with the gimmicks and do what they do best and make games. Like, Sony needs to stick with creating amazing first party titles, and creating amazing hardware and innovating in that way. But nobody, dude, there's so many PSVR 2s just sitting in GameStops right now. Nobody's buying them because they're just, no one wants to spend $600 on this thing. I wouldn't.
Yeah. So go ahead, AK.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that's even a bigger conversation. Is I feel like everybody's trying to have their hand in the pot of everything. Like, everybody doesn't need to do everything. I think you made a good point. Like, Sony's good with the first party games, and like, I think maybe that's what they should just stick to, is making great consoles, like the PS5 and stuff like that, and making great games, and let every other people, take control of like the VR space, because obviously other people are doing it better.
Yeah. And cheaper, way cheaper. Because isn't like the Oculus like $300? Like,
something like that.
Yeah, like, why would I spend double that?
I think I see why, but it just shouldn't be double, right?
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is, like, you can experience your first party titles, or not necessarily first party, but good titles, Resident Evil, Gran Turismo. These days you can experience them in VR. So you're getting that, but it definitely should not be double the price, especially if it's not, double the quality.
Right.
It's space to grow it, but I just feel like things, introduce it a little bit at a time, perfect it before you start to try to get this price. Another thing they could try to do to try to save, what they spent, is include them in a bundle. Throw $50 on the top of the PS5 and count your losses, but they're not a total waste.
But you know what, dude? If they were able to get it down to a price point to where so many more people could get involved, or bundle it with a PS5, right? It would get more people trying it out.
That's very true.
And then when they come out with like the PSVR 3, people would be like, man, I had the 1 or the 2 and I got to play it. I loved it. I'm going to get the 3 no matter what, because the 2 was dope. But it's so expensive that like the point of entry is so pricey for a lot of like average people that it's like, dude, I can't spend $600 on this thing. What if I hate it? What if I get motion sickness? There's no way to test it out. Like, I wouldn't do that. It's a $600 investment for something you don't even know if you're going to like.
Yeah.
But
not everybody's just going to jump at the opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to spend $600, and it doesn't matter if it's good or not.
So, if you guys are good with it, can we move on to our gaming hot takes?
Yeah,
let's go.
Get into it.
I'm excited. All right, guys.
RectWizard, set it off, man.
So
we give you the solo, brother.
One of the segments that I wanted to have on the podcast that we would do once a week is our gaming hot take of the week. It doesn't have to be from, what something happened this week, but every week I want us each to pick a gaming hot take and share it with the community. And so I guess I will kick this one off. We will go one by one. And I have to say, my gaming hot take is that, as a huge Legend of Zelda fan, and some of the people in chat already know what's coming, I've been a huge Zelda fan forever, since the 90s. My first game was A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo. It's very near and dear to my heart. But as much as I love The Legend of Zelda, I will tell you right now that The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is one of the worst video games ever made.
Oh my God.
And I absolutely despise that game with every fiber of my being. Like, deep down in my soul, I hate this game with everything in me, and I don't understand why people like it so much. It is not a good game. Like, the biggest complaint I've seen about Breath of the Wild or even Tears of the Kingdom is, Nintendo created this big open empty world. Well, you want to talk about empty, play Wind Waker and go on the water for 9 times, for 9 out of the, 90% of the game, 95% of the game, you're on the water and there's nothing in the water, nothing. at all. There's nothing there. The dungeons are forgettable. The islands are empty. The only redeeming quality of that game is the fact that the combat is pretty smooth and the music is really good. Other than that, the story was forgettable, lackluster, and the game itself was just absolute trash, dog water. It's not worth your time if you're a Zelda fan. I'm sorry. Twilight Princess was a way better game from that generation. In fact, I would rather play Zelda 2 for 10 hours locked in a room than ever touch Wind Waker again. So that is your hot take from me for this week, and we can argue it all day long, but
So much passion.
The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is absolute trash. Trash.
Oh my god, I love the echo effect too. You gotta say it twice. It's trash. AkayGames, you got a hot take for this week?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad following after that because I don't think I have as much passion about it. But my hot take is I think Nintendo just makes way too many Mario games. Now, I'm a Mario fan. Look, I'm wearing a Mario shirt right now, but I just think they rely on it way too much. I don't know if it's because like they just think like when they put out a Mario game, like it's gonna make them some money because it's so familiar. But I just think they drop way too many in the franchise, and I think they are good with being creative, but I think they need to use more resources to put it into like a really big like new title or just a new game or something. But yeah, that's my hot take.
You know, it's when you say that, I just had to look it up because you're absolutely right. There is a total of 238 games featuring Mario.
Yeah,
Like,
crazy.
that's a lot of Mario games, dude.
Yeah.
First of all, do y'all not see what co-hosts y'all have on here? Like, seriously? Seriously? Like, are you kidding me? Oh my god.
Too many of them.
My hot take is RectWizard and AkayGames are just
Okay.
PlayStation fanboys and girls that just hate the fact that Mario's literally, you know how Jerry West is the logo for the NBA?
Yeah.
Mario's the logo for gaming, bro.
Yeah. No, he is.
But no,
I can't argue with that.
It's not a bad hot take. They do drop a lot of games, but to kind of touch on what you were saying, piggyback what you're saying, that probably is the reason they drop it because Mario is very recognizable. Just
for sure.
for the casual person, right?
Yep.
Especially with the movie and stuff coming out. But yeah, I think they just have different. They have instead of maybe if they had like the other Nintendo IPs, if they came out more often, it wouldn't look as bad. You know, but I mean, yeah, that's a fact. They absolutely gonna rely on Mario because you got people like me. I see Mario, I buy. I'm not thinking about it. Like,
and that's the thing, dude. Is like, you know, Nintendo knows that if anything with Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Donkey Kong, Pokemon, any of that stuff, no matter what it is, good game or bad, because there are bad Zelda games, there are bad Donkey Kong games, there are bad Mario games, and there are really bad Pokemon games. But like, they will sell every single time, millions and millions of copies. So, absolutely. I mean, it's just easy money for Nintendo, dude, no matter what.
Yeah, I pulled a comment from Curtis in the chat. He said, yeah, but you could say that's just them as a brand aspect. If you have one of the most likable characters ever to be created across all generations, they should be making more of them. That's very true. You know, it's still, we're fans. You know, we're looking at it from the fan perspective, but it's also a business. You know, so that's absolutely the reason why I've had this conversation just, you know, amongst buddies and stuff at work, and they were like, oh, all they do is remake the game. So like, yes, but sometimes they need a remake. Just kind of like Rec was saying, if it was to make Twilight Princess and
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker. I'm sorry.
No, it's both.
Well, yeah, okay. So any of them, sometimes like, you know, especially something that was underwhelming as far as sales, like the Wii U. That's kind of why they did it, so they didn't feel like they wasted it. And I can understand it from that perspective. I think people just, they're coming out the same games, but you didn't like the Wii U. So that's not to say that the games on there was horrible. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's more so like, we still want to get this out to the general public because we did invest time in it and, you know, our ideas, stuff like that. It's not that the game was bad. It's just that, you know, they didn't like the console, you know.
The Wii U was great for creating a lot of awesome titles to come to the Switch. Like, honestly, like Wind Waker HD, as much trash as I talk about it, but then there's also Twilight Princess HD. Those need to come to Nintendo's next gen console. Another game I was really disappointed that didn't come over to Switch from the Wii U was Yoshi's Woolly World. I would have really loved to have seen that. But we got Yoshi's Crafted World, though not as good as Woolly World. It would have been nice to see that. But yeah, dude, I think that Mario, I love Mario. I'm a huge Mario fanboy, but there are Mario games I don't play. I don't play a lot of the RPG turn-based Mario games like the Paper Marios and now this Brothership game that's coming out, Mario RPG. I've played a little bit, but that's not because it's Mario. It's because I've never really been into turn-based RPGs that much. I've played a couple that I've loved, but overall, I'd rather play an action RPG or an open world adventure like with action combat rather than turn-based. But you know, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is fun. But they're not my favorite Mario games. I prefer the 3D, you know, Mario 64, Odyssey, Sunshine, stuff like that. Those are my favorite Mario games. But yeah, there's a lot of Mario, man. A lot of Mario. But you know what, dude? He is literally surpassed Mickey Mouse. Like,
No,
honestly.
yeah.
But you know, so that's just easy money for Nintendo. Like, they could slap Mario on any game and it will sell.
I don't think they should stop making it. I think they should still make it. I just think it's just too many. Like, still could pump them out, but maybe not like.
Yeah, they probably could have invested their time into either creating new characters or giving some of the other characters some shine. Like, you know, I know they got their RPG stuff, but I mean, you know, like the Paper Mario series is great. Mario and Luigi series is great, you know, nevertheless. But I want to get into a segment kind of like show and tell where we kind of show off some of our recent pickups for the week.
Oh, crap. I forgot to grab mine. Keep talking.
Okay. So he's gonna grab his pickups. I mean, since I'm right here, I got a couple of mine. Yeah, I can go with these. So recently went to one of my favorite local stores, Play Raven Games. Shout out to Play Raven here in Maryland in Eldersburg. And I had actually, it's funny enough, when I went to SoCal Games, when I got those GameCube games, I actually had a double in there. So I'm kind of pissed that I paid for a double in that set. And the seller, excuse me, he didn't see it and I didn't see it. So I took that, just traded it. It wasn't much. So I was just like, all right, I'll just take that, trade it in and try to get something I want. But I went up there and I've been getting some CIB games lately, getting them in box, even like Japanese ones. So they had the Japanese section. So I picked up Mario Kart CIB for Super Famicom.
Love it.
You know, not the greatest shape, but hey, it's CIB. I'll take it.
No, dude, it's awesome, man. It's dope.
I'll also pick up Mike talked about this game in the beginning. Super Mario Bros. All-Stars.
Love that game. One of the greatest Mario games ever made. Honestly.
Yep. So these were, I feel like I got something else. Oh, one more thing. Hope this floor stretches. Again, something almost there for. So if you guys don't know, or you will know soon, I am collecting the Wii. It's the Wii man. So when I'm out, I normally, obviously, I'm looking for Wii games, but I'm also looking for like some of the big box titles because quite a bit of big box games that's available that includes like a microphone, control, something like that. So I did pick up Glee Karaoke Revolution because I think I had 3. This was like $5, so I was like, I don't have that one.
My wife would love that game.
Yeah, that's you know, you got the shovelware, but my thought process is this: when you got a substantial game collection, one of these days, just pick a random game and just try it because you know this is karaoke. How are you not going to have fun with that? Now I didn't watch Glee, but you know I'm pretty sure there's something that is for everybody in there. You know?
My wife has a Glee tattoo. I'm not joking. Like she is diehard Glee fan. Drives me nuts. I have watched the show not by choice. But yeah.
Mike, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next real quick. Guys, so those of you who have watched the channel or stayed up with my post know that I am going for the full PlayStation 2 North American set of over 1,800 games. So I have picked up a bunch of PlayStation 2 games, and I'm going to rattle them off quickly because I don't want to take all day talking about each game. I picked up a bunch yesterday at my buddy's store, Laughing Crow Collectibles in Modesto. I did a big trade with him and picked up 16 games, and then I picked up a bunch from SoCal Gaming Expo as well. So here's some of the ones I got. We got Avatar, The Burning Earth. We got Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. We got Disgaea 2. We got Dot Hack GU Volume 3. We got Victorious Boxers 2.
Okay.
Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. Atelier Iris. Lanoa 2.
Awesome game.
Dot Hack GU Volume 2, so now I just need Volume 1. These are some games my wife picked out, because again, I have to go for the full set, so I said, babe, why don't you pick out some games? High School Musical Sing It.
Awesome.
Barbie Horse Adventures.
I got that game.
Jeopardy. Friends, the trivia game.
Yes.
The Sims 2 Pets. And then, guys, La Purcell Tactics or Purcell Tactics. We got a horror game, Ghost Hunter. This was a big one good one to pick up. And then my biggest ones I picked up, I got this in a trade with Mort from Mort's Garage. That is a copy of God Hand for the PS2.
Yeah,
for Father's Day, my wife and kids bought me a copy of Futurama as my Father's Day gift. And then in a trade with my buddy from Laughing Crow Collectibles, I got a copy of Rule of Rose. Then at SoCal, I bought from a vendor Blood Will Tell. And then lastly, but surely not least, the rarest, most expensive PS2 game in existence. I got this off of doing a bunch of trades and got the money to get it down in SoCal at the expo. My copy of Kuon. So yeah, so those are there's more pickups, but I'm gonna save those for next week's podcast, next Sunday, you guys. But those are it. So now we're up to a total of 198 PS2 games out of 1850. So
oh man, you put a dent in that library.
Yeah. 1,600 more to go, baby.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Okay,
dude.
what you got?
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to show off, but I'm really excited for this pickup that I got because I've been one for a long time. But I picked up this not new, but like kind of this modded PSP.
Ooh, that's gorgeous.
I'm so excited to play it because I had one when I was younger, and I really just wanted to, get back into the PSP. So I picked one up off of Etsy, and yeah, I'm really excited to play it. I have Vice City Stories. I have a Ratatouille game. I have Thrillville, and then also this one actually came modded with thousands of games to play. So this is going to be taking my time a lot. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So it's modded. Is it modded with PSP games, or do you have like other consoles on there?
It has other consoles on there.
That's sick. Heck yeah.
Yeah, like I remember seeing like a Wario one. I don't really know too many off the top of my head because I just got it like the other day, so I haven't had too much time to like sit down and like play it too much. But yeah, it has so many games. I'm so excited.
That's dope.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's hit the chat. So Curtis said he loves the color of that PSP. I do too. That is awesome. Green's my favorite color. So
yeah, same.
It looks like it's kind of like an emerald green. It's like really pretty. Like
I know. I'm so excited.
It is. It's gorgeous too. Knucklehead 86 says he never knew they had a Fred's video game. I don't think I knew that either.
Knucklehead, I'm right there with you, bro. I had no idea. I literally told my wife I had like $300 in trading credit, and I was like, all right, babe, you go ahead and pick the first half of the games, and that's what she picked. So yeah, we're gonna play some Friends trivia.
Hey, hot take of the week. Rec definitely knew there was a Friends game. He couldn't wait to get it.
Oh, you lying. now you're lying.
He totally knew.
Wait a minute. Marcus, you didn't give your hot take. You didn't say your No, you didn't. You left. Man.
I didn't. No, you're right. All right, so let's backpedal because apparently I have to get my hot take.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be random because I tend to not think about it, but I've kind of led on with some conversations about this. I'm not a fan of Xbox anymore like that.
Okay.
And I don't mean like the old stuff, like the OG Xbox and the 360. What I mean just Xbox as a company, because I feel like they kind of just gave up on their brand.
I
I
agree.
Yeah.
don't like, it's not to keep the quote unquote console wars going, but as gamers, we want to have variety. I honestly, I'm not a fan of seeing different games on different companies' consoles. I don't like it. I don't like it because I feel like give me something to make me want to buy your console.
Right.
And if you guys aren't familiar, I had I'll get to that comment. I'm gonna show that real quick. So Figure Drawing says Xbox had 5 preset. That's very true, and he also said no to Game Pass. So I'm gonna get to that. So if you guys aren't familiar and haven't followed the channel, I had an Xbox Series X. I sold it recently, like a couple months ago, because I literally had that console for what's it been out almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
I bought one game, and that was Call of Duty. And the reason I bought it was how I purchased my Xbox Series X. I had Game Pass Ultimate, so obviously I get to play online, and I play Call of Duty online. I literally never bought anything else for that console. It was nothing that I wanted, except for maybe Starfield recently. But what I did, I'm doing because I'm still a fan. I do collect Nintendo, but I do like to play everything. Especially Call of Duty. Unfortunately, I can't play it on the Switch. I probably wouldn't if I had the opportunity. I'd rather play it on something else. But I did end up trading to get a Series S. You can kind of see it down there in the background. And I refused to pay over $100. I actually paid $70 for that, and I pretty much got it for trade, so I didn't pay at all. If I make the suggestion to anybody, and I'm all about physical games, I'm all about it. But in terms of this current gen Xbox, I would absolutely go with the Series S because all you need for that is Game Pass,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you are good to go.
Yeah. It's a Game Pass machine for sure.
Yeah, that's all you need. I would not spend the money on Series X because, and that's part of my hot take, Xbox lied to us. I don't know if you guys are familiar when they were talking up the Series X before. It's backwards compatible with everything. Then it comes out and it's literally like backwards compatible, like a handful of games. That
Mhm.
really, really, really pissed me off. And some people are like, oh no, they said no, they didn't. They literally said it would be backwards compatible with all of their consoles. Now they're picking and choosing which games and stuff like that, and even that list is short. So that's my gaming hot take that Xbox failed. They gave up on themselves, I think. And I understand it's a business too, but you also stepped into the gaming realm. So you gotta give a little bit to that.
Yeah.
Not just the business portion. You gotta give a little bit to what you stepped into. So if anybody has a response to that, then
I do. Yeah.
go ahead.
So I kind of agree. I agree with you 100%. That's the reason why I haven't bought an Xbox yet. And actually, I remember hearing Phil Spencer did some kind of interview because people were like saying the same thing that like Xbox isn't really taking off. And Phil Spencer said something along the lines of like, oh, like new games or like creative games aren't gonna make or break a console. And I just was like, what are you talking about? Like, I feel like games are like the thing that would like make me want to buy the console. So I don't know if just that kind of attitude is what kind of sunk them. But I
Mhm.
do agree their latest showcase was really good. Now I will give them that. I really like their latest showcase.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of games that are coming to Xbox that I'm excited about. The only problem is the Series X and S have been out for 4 years, and I mean, I can't really think of too many games that were exclusive to the console at all that makes you want to go
Exactly.
buy it. I mean, there was Starfield, but even though I'm a huge Bethesda fan, Starfield's not great. Like, if you're expecting a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls game, you'll be really disappointed. Honestly, I was not a fan of that game. I would rather play Cyberpunk or Fallout 4 than play Starfield. That's just being honest. I think it's not a very good game. So honestly, ever since I got my PS5, um, and I've had a Switch forever, my Xbox Series X has become the YouTube machine or like my Netflix machine. Like honestly, like because like once in a blue moon I might jump on Game Pass for something. It's very rare though, because I'd rather be playing my PS5 or my Switch or one of my retro consoles, because there's nothing that Xbox offers me that I can't play on PS5 or Switch. Like, I mean, honestly, they're like, I don't even know. And that breaks my heart to say, because I used to be a big Xbox fanboy, like Xbox 360. all the way up until I was just talking about earlier in the show. I stepped up and sat in line for 12 hours to wait for the Xbox One. The Xbox One was kind of like the turning point for me, where I was like, wow, like Don Matrix really screwed that division up. Really, for Microsoft, screwed up Xbox with the DRM stuff and like all the stuff that they did during the Xbox One days. And now Phil Spencer is trying. Like, I like Phil. I think he is really trying to save the brand. But dude, the Xbox One really shot them in the foot. And the fact that they don't care enough about exclusive titles, they just want to put their games on everything, on every platform. It definitely hurts them even more, to where it's like, bro, why are you even making hardware anymore? Just go ahead and put Gears of War on a PS5 at that point. Like, who cares? Like, if that's the mentality you're gonna have, like, just go ahead and put Halo on the PS5 and on the next Switch. Like, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Something that Glenn, shout out to Glenn in the comments. He was just saying that something Phil Spencer said. He was like, mind share is difficult to overcome. That's true, but let's look at a little bit of the history of Xbox, the past couple releases. First of all, 360 was great, right? But you also had to overcome the 3 Red Rings of Death, where you came out with 4, 5, 6 different Xbox 360 consoles, right?
Yeah.
So it started there. Then we can't forget about the debacle of a release Xbox One was. You forced everybody to pay an extra $100 for that Connect that nobody wanted. You didn't offer it where you couldn't get it without it.
And do you remember when the Xbox One came out? Dude, PlayStation 4 really, really had good marketing, because remember how like you couldn't share your games on the Xbox One, and Sony comes out with that commercial and they goes, this is how we share our games. And the one dude hands a game to the other dude, and he's like, and it's like such a dig at Xbox, because that you have to be online all the time. The DRM, you can't share your games. Like, what was Xbox thinking, dude? Like, it was Don Matrix ruined that division. That guy freaking sucks.
Yeah, that was terrible. And then of course now with the Series X, you're 4 years in, and I guarantee find me the biggest Xbox fan in the world and convince me to go buy a Series X again. I bet you couldn't do it.
Yeah, especially if you already have a PC, because it's like, if they go, well, bro, you can get Game Pass. Okay, I have a PC for that.
Yeah.
Next.
Literally can get Game Pass on PC.
Next.
Yeah.
Literally.
like tell me, like, if we're going strictly like you can't even use Game Pass because I can play it on other platforms, dude. Like, you can like play Game Pass in your freaking Tesla. Like, give me another reason, like a solid reason to make me go buy an Xbox over a Switch or a PS5. You can't.
Oh, that's true.
What?
Good hot take,
Sony,
you got any thoughts on that, or no?
Sony did drop the ball on the PS3 when it first launched because of the price point. The fact that like the 360 was like $300 and the PS3 was like $600. But now that, you know, I look back and it had all these bells and whistles in it, and it was so expensive to produce. And then also the biggest problem too was the PS3 library wasn't as good. It just wasn't. Actually, out of all the Sony consoles, the PS3 library is the weakest. And the reason being is because when Sony came out with the PS3, they had this new architecture that was very, very hard to develop for. And a lot of third-party companies didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, or the ones that did, the games were buggier, glitchier. They ran very poorly on the PS3 compared to the 360. And the price point was way too expensive for the point of entry for a lot of consumers. Sony got cocky after the PS2. They really did. They were like, we're the best-selling console of all time. No one can beat us. Their idea was, we're going to create this ecosystem based around this new architecture, where not only are we going to be the #1 gaming console in everyone's living room, but we are going to be the ultimate entertainment machine in the world with our Blu-ray players. And we're just going to be an all-in-one, one-stop shop. And we're going to dominate. And they didn't. Technically, if you want to look at it, the Wii dominated that generation. It did. It outsold both the 360 and the PS3. And for a while, the 360 was going to beat the PlayStation 3 until they went back to the drawing board, scrapped the PS3 fat, and came out with the Slim. And once they did that, they were able to catch up in sales to catch the 360 and actually pass it slightly. But you know, yeah, the PS3 at first, I mean, I love my fat now because, you know, I'm a retro collector and I can play all those games on one console. But at the time, dude, $600 and just all this unnecessary like stuff that was packed into it. I mean, I don't know. They did kind of drop the ball, and the library wasn't great. Like the fact that like the 360 was like developers were able to make games for the 360 that ran better because the architecture on a 360 was the exact same as like a PC. It was like making PC games, and it was simple and it was easy, and that is why they did so well. And games were just better on the 360.
Yeah. AK, what do you think about this comment from Glenn? The 360 did not only did well, not only because it was good, but Sony also dropped the ball with the PS3. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I'd have to agree. I think I wasn't the biggest fan of the PS3, but I did play the 360 a good amount, and I remember being a fan of the 360. So I mean, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I look at it like, of course, at the time we weren't considering like the fact that because one, I can guarantee you most collectors, not the casual gamers, but most collectors probably regret feeling that way at the beginning because it forced Sony to go back to the table and then you lost that backwards compatibility. Now look at how much we want that console, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't think about that, which is very true. But I'm not even sure at that time, like, were they pushing that the backwards compatibility at the time of
The
the
PS3?
the release run? Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh
they
yeah.
were?
Yeah,
I get,
because they came out with two, if I remember correctly, there was two different models. And there was like I want to say there was like a 60 gig, and then there was 40 gig or 20 gig.
yeah, that's right. I remember that. Okay.
And I know that they were pushing the backwards compatibility because they wanted it to feel like the ultimate entertainment living room, where you play everything. You could watch Blu-rays, you can watch DVDs, you can listen to music on your CDs, and you could play your PS1, your PS2, your PS3 games. Like they wanted to dominate living room, and they thought they were going to run the whole world with this new architecture and this new thing that they were putting out, and it just ended up backfiring.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were aiming at. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to think. That was probably uh that first initial price jump with consoles, right? Because like the N64 and stuff was about $300, correct? Like in the PS2,
Yeah,
that
they
was $299, right?
I
Because that was their whole.
I want to say they were like, yeah, it was like $300 for the PS2, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm sure like now in theory, of course, everyone would prefer that because thinking back, and it was I guess we're thinking it's bad, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad of an idea, especially seeing as PS2 did so well. So maybe
Yeah.
it's not them being cocky. It's more so, no, you can play your PS2 games on here still, and that's a big thing for parents, especially like for the holiday season. Is like, oh, I spent this on this console. I'm not going to go and spend $400, $600 on a new console. You can still play
Yeah.
this,
Right.
So I get it. I think it just you know, kind of lost itself in that. Um,
But
but
do you guys want to do the outro? We're coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
We're at an
yeah,
hour and 53 minutes.
yep. We got our 53 minutes, so we're gonna wrap this up. But if you guys are just jumping in and tuning in late, and also for the audio listeners, just for this particular or maybe the next couple episodes, we probably be streaming from multiple platforms and different channels. But we do have a YouTube channel for the podcast. It's in the description, so please go in the description and subscribe to the channel. Also, we started up a Discord for the channel. We want to build that community as well. Make sure you go into there and join that Discord as well. But please make sure you go in the description and subscribe to the podcast channel because eventually we will be streaming solely from that channel.
Yep.
Just to reiterate that. But we're gonna be signing off. Let's head to AK Games. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up in the future for your channel.
Yeah, so I mean, you can find me on YouTube at AkayGames, AKAY Games. And it's the same on Instagram and TikTok. And usually just on my channel, I do a lot of game analysis. I just did a Arthur Morgan character analysis. Love doing those. And I also do PlayStation news. And yeah, so you can find me there.
Awesome. RectWizard. Let the people know what they got, what they can expect from your channel, and where they can find you.
All right, guys. So with my channel right now, I do a lot of short form content on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. That's kind of my bread and butter content. I love doing it. But I also started my new series where I'm hunting for every PlayStation 2 game in the North American library. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I also like to do like store reviews of like video game stores, either online or in person. I do a variety of things, whether we talk about modern games that are coming out or my favorite retro titles, things we're nostalgic for. And then also, guys, as far as the podcast goes, we will be live every Sunday moving forward at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Again, every Sunday. I'm streaming it here on my channel, and VideoGameVotary Marcus is streaming it on his channel. But eventually, the idea is to stream it to the podcast YouTube channel, and that will be put in the video description of our videos down below. Make sure you guys please check out all 4 co-hosts' channels individually. We are all our own creators and have our own channels on YouTube and other platforms. So definitely check us out as well. Our channels will be down in the video description as well. And I'm really looking forward to this podcast, dude. Like, this was a great first episode. I'm having a lot of fun. And I love my co-hosts. I love like doing this with you guys. This has been amazing. This was a great first episode. I had a great time. Dude, it's only going to get better from here, man. And I appreciate everybody in the chats that have been watching and talking and commenting and being active and all the support, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to the chat. You guys were super active. I definitely appreciate that. Makes the podcast go smoother, opens up conversation, and just being able to engage. We definitely appreciate that. So I'm gonna plug Black Channel's info since he's not here. You can follow BlakRanger at BlakRanger on pretty much all of the social platforms. I believe Facebook is French Bryant. It's probably going to be the only one comes up because his name's French. He's different. So you can find and follow him there. Again, his channel and everybody else's channel is in the description. And for me, what I got coming up on the channel, I'm telling y'all right now, you do not want to miss next week's episode. We gonna be revealing some big time information. Some people know about it, but not everybody. But everybody will know, so be on the lookout for that.
Can I guess?
Also,
Can I guess? You're selling
no,
your Wii collection and you're moving over to PS5.
That's funny. No, absolutely not. But also I will be at Southeast Game Exchange in another next week. So I'm excited about that. If you guys gonna be there, hit me up. I will be in the building. So look out for that. You can follow me on all gaming and social platforms at VideoGameVotary. And this is a wrap for episode 1 of the upcoming retro podcast. Thank everybody for showing up, showing out, being in the comment section. Don't forget to follow the channel. We'll see y'all next Sunday.
Yo, I appreciate you guys. See you next Sunday.
Bye.
Later.
Happy hunting.